Hey guys, what's up? What's up? What's up? I am in yet another beautiful hotel room. Check it out. I am in somewhere, Texas. Where am I? I'm in Buda, Texas. Anybody know where Buda, Texas is? I'd love to see you guys in the chat. Tell me yes or no if you know where Buda, Texas is. In fact, let me get over here to the chat. I hope everybody's having a good day. We got plenty of stuff to get into. Trump is designating Antifa as a terrorist organization, as well as we've heard the stuff that's kind of gotten blown back now because of Jimmy Kimmel and what he said. They have indefinitely suspended his show. Give you my thoughts on that. My question is that some government overreach, or are there the implications of government overreach since the FCC is getting involved? I want to talk about that here in just a little bit because I want to be intellectually humble and honest with that. And I want us to take a little analysis of the whole thing, because this could have some implications that are very negative if indeed this is government overreach like everything else is. So I'm getting over here to the chat. Let me see you guys, see if you're in there. But I do think the tide is turning, just like we put there in the thumbnail. I think the tide is turning. I think we're starting to see some action. There's some consequences for the decisions that people make. Now, if you stick with us long enough, this is going to be a little bit of an abbreviated Chad Prather show, because I've got to do some more traveling today. But if you stick with me long enough, I'm going to talk to you about I'm going to talk to you about picking a side and what that means, the consequences to picking a side. I'll do that with my final thoughts later on in the program. But here's the thing. I'm headed out. I'm headed up to Fort Worth today. And then Sunday morning, bright and early, I'm jumping on an airplane. I'm headed out to the memorial for Charlie Kirk in Glendale, Arizona. And I was thinking this morning, because many of you have messaged me about my post that went viral, the post from last week. You know, I typed that thing out about why grief doesn't necessarily, it's not built on proximity to somebody. Grief is about somebody's meaning in your life. And when they're taken away, that rawness that comes from the tragedy, that emptiness, that void that's left, it's very personal, and we're all feeling that. So 4 o'clock in the morning last week, I posted that about Charlie, wrote it out, posted about Charlie. Everybody's been quoting it. It's been crazy. They've been reading that off at a number of vigils for Charlie around the country. That is awfully humbling to me. I'm sure that many of you have read it. I would love to see what you guys thought about that if you did read it. But I want to kind of summarize where we are now that we're 8 days later from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Somebody said to me last night that we are, because of the cancellation, and it's not a cancellation, the indefinite suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's show, they said we're forcing people to mourn Charlie Kirk, and we are being forced to grieve. Well, let me tell you something from my perspective here. Psychologically, when you have someone that's iconic or someone that's a voice in your life, somebody like Charlie, and they're taken away from us suddenly, the human mind struggles to process that. That is the nature of tragedy. It's the nature of trauma. And I will tell you this, that was a trauma event. That was a trauma grief. Trauma grief is very different from natural grief. And let me tell you why. There's no time to prepare for it. Robert Redford passes away at 89 years of age, and we go, okay, he lived a nice long life. Good for him. I mean, he lived a long life. Everybody could dream for that. There was an arc of decline. You see that with your grandmother, your grandfather, they pass away. But when there's a trauma grief, that's a different deal. When it comes with no warning, and then you add that to the fact that a guy like Charlie had become a public figure, and so many people out there had attached meaning to him and his voice and the things that he had to say, then what happens is people don't only grieve as individuals, they grieve what those individuals, or I should say, they don't grieve those individuals alone, they grieve what those individuals represented. Does that make sense? See, Charlie symbolized courage and conviction and a refusal to compromise in a fearful age. And so when you have a symbol like that gets struck down, it creates a kind of a collective destabilization. That's why people who never even met Charlie personally still feel like they lost tragically and suddenly a very close friend. Now that's psychologically. Spiritually, and this is what I was thinking about this morning. Spiritually, the scripture says that eternity is written on our hearts. Our spirits recognize when a light is suddenly snuffed out, right? And there's also a spiritual battle that's at play. And that layer to that, when you have a voice that carries truth, is suddenly and violently silenced. People feel subconsciously like the darkness just celebrated something because something good was taken away. Does that make sense to you guys? So that recognition is going to strike the soul at a deeper level than logic can reach. And so, if you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit creates unity among the believers. And so when we see another believer, that's why I've been so quick to call him a Christian martyr, and that his blood is crying out because he literally was given as a sacrifice. When we see that, our body, the body of Christ, feels that together. And so when somebody says to me that we're being forced into mourning for Charlie, there's a tension because his life and death became more than private. It became public and political. And so when grief becomes political or even communal, it sometimes gets labeled as performative. Like we're putting on a show here. I mean, we're getting on airplanes and going to Glendale, Arizona, for some guy that many people have never even met. There are going to be people who are misusing tragedy. I'm looking at you, Candace Owens. And I've known Candace for a number of years too. I've always considered Candace a friend, but I look at these people who are using their platforms and they're misusing this tragedy for a number of reasons. That doesn't mean the rest of us are being forced or coerced to fake grief, because deep mourning for all of us is when the Spirit of God, to me, this is my worldview, this is my theistic worldview as a believer, is that God is binding hearts together. And so the world looks at it, the people who don't have the Spirit of God guiding their life, they look at it and they say, this has got to be compulsion, because people without God in their life, they don't care. They don't grieve in the same way. They don't care in the same way that we do. I'm not saying they don't have grief. I'm just saying they're not operating by the same conviction. I hope some of this is making sense, because it sort of honestly pissed me off. And I'll tell you how you can honor Charlie in these days ahead. And I know TPUSA has some ways that you can stream. You can go in and sign up and stream to watch the memorial. Here's what I want to encourage you guys to do as we head into this memorial for Charlie. You can honor his convictions and not just his persona. And what I mean by that is you need to tell the stories of the values that he lived out. He set a great example, whether it was truth, courage, devotion to God, loyalty to country, all of those great things, because all of those things were transcendent of one man. Another thing is, I want to encourage you guys to anchor in Scripture. The Apostle Paul talked about finishing the race. Charlie's earthly race ended suddenly and way too soon, in my opinion. But the memorial is a reminder that all of us are runners in the same relay race. It's a marathon, and we don't all get to finish in the same way. So we grieve, but we don't grieve as a people without hope. And I hope that resonates with you a little bit. I would also encourage you guys to kind of make grief active. And what I mean by that is the healthiest remembrance of someone. And you may be grieving somebody else. I'm grieving the loss of a family member, as I told you. But remembrance isn't just only tears, it's also action. So you ask, what can we carry forward? What stand can we take now more boldly, because, he can't stand here with us. So what stand are we going to take? So, make the grief active. And another thing is name the hope. And what I mean by that is don't let a memorial become about death. Point it towards resurrection. Point it towards resurrection in Christ. And I don't think, this is certainly not the end of Charlie's story. It's not the end of what God will do through his legacy. And I'm excited about the legacy of Charlie Kirk, even though tragically we lost him. It's a time to grieve, but it's also a time to celebrate. We don't grieve as those who don't have hope. So as we head into this weekend and this memorial time for Charlie, I want us to pray for the family, pray for those who are left behind. Pray for yourselves and pray for us as a community, but also pray for our nation. And remember that it's a bittersweet thing because we get to celebrate the fact that Charlie was a man. He'd be the first one to tell you that hope. So anyway, this is, I hope that any of that stuff makes some sense to you. Let's see, I gotta get into our friends over at Home Title Lock. Go to hometitlelock.com/Chad Prather. I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but the FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud that is fast rising in our country. It's home title theft. Your equity is the target. So what happens is a thief goes in, forges your name on a document, and they fake a notary, and then they put their name on the title to your home, and then they start borrowing against the equity. And you think that that's hard to do. It's not hard to do. It's one of the fastest rising crimes in the country. And so they can take out loans against your equity. They can even sell your house, quite honestly. You don't even know anything's going on until you get a foreclosure notice or you start getting some collections notice. So I want you to go over to hometitlelock.com. They will give you a free title history report when you use promo code CHAD. I spell it Chad. And they'll also give you a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes. And if fraud occurs, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. So go over there and check them out. Don't be a victim, folks. Go to hometitlelock.com/Chad Prather. Use promo code Chad and get that triple lock protection. Oh, man. I'm telling you, I miss being in the studio sometimes. It's good to have technology that we can do what we're doing. But let me just tell you, man, as we're traveling, as we're going across the country, quite literally, I am crisscrossing everything. How many of you guys had an opportunity to see my segment on TBN on Charlie Kirk today? I would love to hear from you in the chat if you guys got a chance to see that. I got some good feedback from it. They actually asked me to continue doing through the month of October on a number of those. I think Graham may be doing some. I think Nick Freitas might be doing some as well, some others. But I'll be back on Monday again. David, hit mute on yours, buddy. I'm getting a little static there. It might be coming through. So I'll be doing again on Monday. People have asked me how to watch it. If you have TBN on your cable, whatever cable provider you use, you can watch it there on TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, and then they stream it on the TBN app. And I'm sure some things will start coming out on some other streaming platforms, social media. But it's a great honor that they've asked me to continue doing that through the month of October, and I'm excited about it. I will say that I want to encourage everyone to be praying for those who are attending the memorial there in Arizona this weekend on Sunday. I just know there's a lot of crazies out there, and if somebody wanted to cause harm to people like Charlie Kirk, that would be a place to do it. So obviously there will be heightened security, whatever that means anymore. The president will be there, and a lot of folks will be there actually. So we're praying for safety and security, and also praying for God to show up in a powerful way. And I think it's going to be a powerful moment that we're all going to get a chance to celebrate, considering the life of Charlie Kirk. All right, we're going to get into some top stories, everybody, and I've got a special surprise for you here. Let's talk about Trump designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. I want to know what you think about this. This is a big deal. And to talk about it, let's do a little interview here in a moment. This is Colin Rugg. President Trump's designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. He's recommending that those funding Antifa will be investigated. Trump says, I'm pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. I'll also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Let's talk about somebody who's faced off with Antifa, who has to deal with it because he lives in the Pacific Northwest. Our very lovely producer, my friend, Mr. David Medina, everybody. Welcome, David, to the program. Oh, buddy, what's going on, man?
Chad Prather, man. Well, it's going good. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to all you guys in the chat. I see we see you guys. I mean, we got Fibu Long in the chat. We got KB in the chat. Becky. I just want to say we appreciate you guys, your guys' constant support. Right now, it's creeping up almost to 3,000 live viewers across all platforms. So, yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here, Chad. Where are you at, man? I never know where you're at. You're always on the plane.
I am in Buda, Texas. So I spoke at a Republican event last night in Wimberley, Texas, and with several hundred folks. It was great. And it was good to go out and kind of get people laughing a little bit, but also to go out and talk to them about some things that matter and hopefully invigorate them and encourage them a little bit. And so we did that. Yeah. And David, you'd be proud of me, man. I was on Jason Aldean's guys, his bandmates, and a number of songwriters, very famous songwriters out in Nashville, very successful songwriters. They have a podcast called, Try That in a Small Town. Yeah. And that we talked about a lot of different things, but I had an opportunity to really talk about Jesus, man, with those guys. And they're believers, but it was great. It was a great conversation to be able to do that. So everywhere I go right now, if you want to come to one of my events, you're going to have to hear about Jesus. So I'm talking about Jesus on the plane. I'm talking about Jesus in the car. Party Foul Steve, who's in the room next to me. That's why he's not on the show. We got to travel about 4 or 5 hours here in a minute.
I know you're trying to you're trying to have a short show, but I want to. You're always singing everybody's praises. That's what I love about you. And I just want to take a quick second. I know you're going to hate me for this, but
I will.
You since the beginning of this year, around spring, and seeing what God is doing with you, and seeing what God is doing through you, is so inspiring to me. And I just want everybody to know. Listen, I've worked with people like Benny Johnson, Officer Tatum. I still work with David Harris Jr. and others, other content creators, all great people. But let me just tell you something. Chad Prather is my favorite for a reason. This guy has a heart of gold, and I'm glad that you guys are supporting him. His YouTube is taking off as it should. And man, I just want to thank you, Chad, because you've been so good to me. You've been so good to me and my family. And you're just, man, you're a rock. I was in the middle of church yesterday, frustrated, and I texted you, and you texted me right back because I heard something in church that I didn't like, which is okay because I love my church. But you're always there, man, and I just appreciate you. I just wanted to say that. I know you're going to give me crap for it later, but.
Well, I will, but that's okay. Listen, we're having fun together. We're doing this thing together. You've been a rock and a part of this show, and I wish you could come on the show even more, but you are an introvert. You're a weird dude. You're an empath. You feel very deeply, and I appreciate your voice out there because you're out there in the middle of the fire, dude. I was laughing so hard at your clips the other day of you walking around with the Charlie Kirk posters there in Portland, and you would just go in the building and just stick them out and go, God bless Charlie Kirk.
Antifa attacked during the Summer of Love when Apple Store. I can't believe the Apple Store is still there, actually, because they had to put up all the windows. Because if you look at the Apple Store in Portland, it's all glass. Like the walls are all glass. And so all that glass was broken. But yeah, I mean, I had enough, man, just like a lot of you. I'm here in Portland. And when that news came out of Trump designating Antifa as a terrorist organization, I mean, you can hear the cries and smell the soy from where I'm at right now, from downtown Portland, because I'm just right outside of downtown Portland, and you could hear. I mean, I almost want to I'm trying to be like Jesus, Chad, and you and I. It's a daily battle trying to be like Jesus, because you and I, we like to have fun and we like to mess with people, and I almost want to take a blowhorn and just drive by in my truck and just be like, get ready, by the people that are the Antifa is still attacking the ICE building, for people that don't know.
Yeah. I was in Washington, D.C. for CPAC a couple of years ago, and the head of Antifa there in the D.C. area was there. He's a little squirmy, wormy dude. And I was talking to him. I engaged him in conversation, and I said, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you believe. He said, well, I don't believe in fascism. I'm anti-fascist. I said, well, then we have that in common. Yeah. Now let's define what fascists are. And it's amazing how you've seen these seed beds of Antifa pop up, like Portland, like Seattle, like Asheville, North Carolina, all around the country. What do you think the implications of this are going to be, David? I mean, do you think that we're going to start seeing people that are going to hang the masks up and stop throwing the cement in the styrofoam cups and attacking people? Are they going to quit the protest, or is this going to cause them to come out even more, and we're going to see more purple-haired mugshots? What's the result going to be?
Well, a couple of things come to mind. We have to understand that, it feels good for Trump to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. I love that, but two thoughts go through my head. One, I think you kind of made this point earlier, which is this setting up the ground for, say, if a Democrat or the Democrat Party takes over the White House in the future, can they start designating MAGA as terrorists? Like they already have, actually. They've already done that, but not officially like Trump just did. And the other thing, too, that was going through my head was that, people don't understand, but legal experts are already saying that this actually, the Trump can't do this. And they're kind of right in a way, because labeling a group as foreign terrorists, it's supposed to be foreign, right? That was usually like when you label a group terrorist, it's supposed to be, that was usually focused on foreign terrorists, foreign terrorism, and foreign terrorist groups. When it comes to domestic, it's a lot harder because a lot of we're protected by the Constitution, and as much as we can't stand these people, these anarchists and Antifa that are destroying our country, that are burned Portland and Seattle and LA and all these other cities halfway to hell in 2020, they're still protected under the Constitution. They're still protected under free speech. So this is going to be a challenge, and expect Democrats to fight back and for this to go through courts. It's not just, Trump can't just say a domestic terrorist organization and then boom, they cease to exist and they have no rights and there's no due process. It's going to be a long battle, but I think it is a good positive step that he went as far as to say this. There's a lot of things the federal government can do to stop Antifa from fundraising. They can start investigating, which they should already be investigating, George Soros tied money to these groups and other dark money that goes to these groups. Because let's be honest, when we see all these people protesting and these No Kings protests, 90% of these people are paid. And so we need to figure out where that money's coming from. We need to figure out the root. We can't keep talking about these surface issues. We got to talk about the root of what's going on in this country and get down to it. Find out who is funding these groups. And but I liked what I saw. I liked symbolically what I saw from the president yesterday.
Yeah, I like the bold stance. I agree with you. I think that we got to be careful in terms of it, because it's good to be the king, right? And so when you have the opportunity to go out there and sort of bully your enemies, it feels good. There's something visceral and fleshly about being able to do that. But legally, are you able to do that? Morally, are you supposed to do that? To the degree that, as far as the morality aspect, somebody is funding them. Somebody's putting the pallets of bricks on the corners in the neighborhoods for them to throw through the windows. Somebody's, paying the gas bill for these kids to get down there and throw those Molotov cocktails. So we got to put a stop to that, because the violent rhetoric that is there. And listen, I would say this. I think we've got to counter these so-called extremist right groups as well. Let's be very fair. These guys that are walking around with their little uniforms on and they're marching with their Nazi and all the kind of crap, I don't know who those people are. I don't know who's paying them. But that stuff's got to get, that tide's got to turn as well. However, there's a difference between marching and protesting and throwing Molotov cocktails.
Are you talking about Patriot Front, the group that, got...
Yeah. I'm referring to folks like that, and, depending on who you think, what people think of Patriot Front, right?
Yeah.
Different opinions are out there. So, because a lot of people say they're not real.
For sure, my friend.
They're not. They're just a bunch of feds. they're just a bunch of feds. All right, let me talk real quick. I got another topic I want to get into. Let's talk about my friends over at Allied Oilfield. AlliedOilfield.com is where you can go over there and check them out. If you're in the trucking industry, the oil and gas industry, Allied Oilfield's been doing this thing for a couple of decades. And they got the stuff you need. If you're in that industry, go check them out, AlliedOilfield.com. If you got the big equipment and you need some refurbishing done, they can certainly help you with that. I've been wearing the heck out of their shirt, dude. It's one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever had, but that's a side point. They just found a comfortable shirt and put their logo on it, and I like it. But anyway, AlliedOilfield.com. Good folks over in West Texas. Go check them out at AlliedOilfield.com. I know all you engineers and smart folks that are watching this show, you want to go look at their equipment. And they got some cool equipment, okay? So go check them out, AlliedOilfield.com. All right, everybody's talking about Jimmy Kimmel, quote, getting canceled. Jimmy didn't get canceled, right? He got indefinitely suspended. His show was indefinitely suspended. Now, I had a little bit of an argument online last night with some friends, but Colin Rugg says ABC broadcast affiliate Nexstar is removing Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely after he joked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He didn't just joke about it, he lied about it, and that's the key thing. It says Nexstar Media Group today announced that the company's owned and partner television stations affiliated with the ABC television network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not. And I'd love to hear from people in the chat. Do you think that what they're saying is right or wrong in regards to this, offensive and insensitive? We do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we're located. That's Andrew Alford, the president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. He says we're not going to keep giving him a broadcast platform in communities we serve is simply not in the best interest. So this is what Jimmy said. Pay attention to it. Pay close attention. See if you can pick up the lie. Play the clip.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction.
Yeah, that's just Trump being Trump. That's always how Trump does it. Trump wants to refocus. Trump's going to control the conversation. He's always going to refocus regardless of what the question is. That's not new. He does that every single time. Trump has been very adamantly outspoken about how he feels about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And Trump's not the kind of guy who's going to walk you into his grief. So, make the joke all you want. But he lied about that. So the lie that he gave was when he said that it was just another MAGA kid who did it, and that's not true. That's simply not true based on all the evidence and investigation that we are seeing. And, he said some other insensitive remarks. Now, again, I just talked to you earlier this week about hate speech. I don't believe in hate speech. I believe in free speech. The FCC is who they're blaming. They're saying that this was a federal Communication Commission initiative to put pressure on ABC to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. Now, if that's true, then that would be potentially and arguably a violation of the First Amendment because it is the government, a federal agency, shutting down a man's voice in the entertainment industry, okay? I don't see it that way at all. Now, the FCC did say, which, by the way, let me say, the FCC, people need to look up why the FCC exists. They are to control a lot of things and oversee a lot of things. One of those is decency, okay? They are there to make sure that things that are being broadcast are done decently. So that would certainly fall in this category. David, your thoughts on this deal. Is this governmental overreach, or is this a private company like ABC saying, all right, we're going to have a moral backbone for once in our career?
Yeah, I mean, I always look through the scope of, will the Democrats use this precedent to use this against us again, like they did the 4 years under Biden? I look at all of these things like Jimmy Kimmel, this canceling, all this kind of stuff. I know a lot of your viewers aren't going to like that I'm saying that because they're like, good, no, he deserves to. I agree. What he said just now is the most despicable thing I've ever seen. Jimmy Kimmel is disgusting. He was one of the ones that, I didn't hate too much. I don't hate him, but he definitely for sure lost me last night because you just don't say that, and you definitely don't create false narratives like it was a MAGA suspect. But I think people need to understand also Trump's like 90, 100 years old. Okay, like the dude is he's got a lot on his plate. He's doing the best he can. What else? You guys been shot? I mean, I think people need to really read up on who Trump is. I mean, what did you want him to do? Sit there and break down and cry and just fall to his knees? Trump is about business, and that's what I want my president to be. I don't want my president to sit there and shed tears like this crybaby on the screen right now. I want him to project strength, and I want him to. And by the way, his actions. Look at Trump's actions. he's going to award Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He's designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. He's doing a lot. He's going to attend the memorial. He's doing a lot of things, and a lot of things are to come, for this country and in Charlie's name. I mean, so this idiot right here is just trying to get clicks and he's trying to get views, and it costs him his job. I'm doing this list in my state, Chad, of people who have celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. And I've gotten a couple messages that are like, aren't you for free speech? Absolutely. And that's why my list is only for taxpayer employees. I've made a list on my website of people in my community who have, celebrated publicly the death of Charlie Kirk, but it's only taxpayer employees, because if I'm paying your salary, I have a say in your employment and the comments that you say, in my opinion, and you deserve. I'm not calling necessarily for people to be fired, and if that happens, be it, but I'm not focused on individuals or business owners, because it's taxpayer funded, because I really do believe in the First Amendment speech. At the same time, if you're working for a company and you're saying remarks, you are representing that company, and you signed into a contract to represent that company in a certain way, and if it doesn't align with that company's beliefs, they have a right to terminate you.
That's right. And I mean, if you're in the state of Texas, which obviously Kimmel's not, but if you're in the state of Texas, they can do it without cause. And the people, I had someone, a comedian friend of mine, who made a post who, listen, you're going to put stuff out there and you're going to say, well, the left is never engaged in this kind of behavior, that this is something that Trump, I mean, again, we're back to Orange Man bad. This is the left would never engage in such behavior. Well, I'd love to remind everybody about the White House and the social media censorship. You mentioned our YouTube growing. Our YouTube did not grow for 4 years because of social media censorship during the COVID era. Let's talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. If you put the image of Hunter Biden out there in his underwear, they banned you for 30 days. The Twitter files, Elon Musk came out and showed that the FBI and the DHS and the other agency had a direct pipeline to Twitter and were flagging posts for moderation or removal. The Disinformation Governance Board, remember that when the Biden administration floated that out 3 years ago? Now that got shot down because of public backlash, but he was going to do a Disinformation Governance Board that was going to police misinformation. What about back when Obama was president? You had the IRS targeting scandal that went after Tea Party groups and tax-exempt groups. And then you had campus speech and the federal pressure that happened there under the Title IX guidelines. So there's a whole lot of opportunities to look at the left and say, no, they did these things as well. So I'm with you on that. The government, you want to start talking about government overreach and you want to argue with this, listen, you got to be intellectually humble and honest with all of this and admit that both sides have engaged in these things. Go ahead.
Before you go to your next sponsor, you guys blow up that chat. We're creeping up on 4,000 live viewers across all of Chad's platforms. Let's blow up the chat with American flags right now for Charlie Kirk. Let us know what you think about what we just talked about with this whole First Amendment thing and canceling. Do you agree with this? What are your thoughts on it? We want to see you in the chat. We see Ginger in the chat, KB in the chat, Lori, Denise. We see all of you guys, man. Thank you guys for participating. All right, Chad.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Blow up that. Let me see those American flags. Yeah, there they come. There they come. I'm a little bit delayed here on the Rumble thing, but let's see them. And a dancing banana. Look at you guys. Let me show you. You know what? Look at this. I might have to steal this little dog. I came into the hotel here at the Hampton Inn. Look at that. That's some talent right there. God bless her. I'm going to have to call him Dancing Banana. Look at that. Let me put him over here. Little Dancing Banana. All right. Let's talk about our friends over at Birch Gold. Text Chad to 989898. Make sure your future is secure with a tax-sheltered IRA that is backed by physical gold. Gold is going up, man, and that's an exciting thing. Well, it depends on how you look at it because the value is going down, but we know that's going to happen. And thankfully, we do have gold to back up our finances. So if you got a savings account, old 401k, roll it over into that tax-sheltered IRA. The folks at Birch Gold will help you. When you text Chad, and I need you today to text Chad to 989898, they will send you a free no-obligation information kit. And what happens is they're going to call you on the phone. They're going to ask for your address. They're not going to try to pressure you. They're not going to do a sales pitch, none of that stuff. They're just going to get your address. Now, what you need to do is you need to ask them about being a first-time gold or silver buyer. Because if you are, they have a thing going now through the end of the month of September where you can get a rebate of up to $10,000 in precious metals if you're a first-time buyer. So talk to them and work that deal with them. That is a great opportunity for you to get that up to $10,000 rebate on precious metals, in precious metals. So get your retirement taken care of and get your right now taken care of with gold and silver. Text Chad. That's all you've got to do. And I need you to do that. Please get those fingers those thumbs limber on the phone. And text Chad to 989898. All right. ABC affiliates. This is an interesting move. I think there's, David, you correct me on this. You may know better than me. There's been, I think, 4 or 5 NFL teams that have not done a remembrance of Charlie Kirk in their stadiums, and they're catching a lot of backlash. Yep. I think 4. But ABC affiliates are planning to air a Charlie Kirk tribute, and I think that's pretty cool. Sinclair Broadcasting Group will air a special in remembrance of Charlie Kirk and Jimmy Kimmel's during Jimmy Kimmel's now canceled time slot on Friday. So that's pouring a little salt in the wound right there. What do you think?
I love it. I love it. This is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. This is definitely punching back. Now, let's talk about that just for a second, because I do think, like you said, something that's eerily true, and that is, if Democrats get back in power, God forbid they do, because these leftist Riri progressives that are out there now spouting their ignorance, if they get power again, God help all of us, because they will designate MAGA, anybody that wears a red hat, as a terrorist organization. They will start shutting down more and more censorship. They'll add more and more censorship, shutting more down in terms of our communication. I mean, we may not ever be able to put anything on social media ever again. And guys like Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these guys, they're going to go right back to the slime pit of the swamp on the left if they do that. So this is interesting. I mean, it feels good to counterpunch with this. It feels good to counterpunch with them putting Charlie Kirk's tribute in that time slot. But man, we'll see what the ramifications. And I got in my final word later on, I'm going to tell you about picking sides and tell you what this fight's going to cost us. And I want you to hang tight as we get into that. Click like, click like, click like. If you haven't rubbed that thumbs up button, do it. You don't have to smash it. Just touch it, caress it, lick your finger, whatever. I don't know. Do something gross. But push the thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube and our Rumble. And make sure you're also following David at David Medina PDX. All right, Candace Owens. She is... I try not to follow a lot of these stories too deeply because it pisses me off, because you take an opportunity here and you're really jumping on fresh meat, sort of like a pit bull that discovered a bleeding chicken. And I don't like this. If you claim to have the receipts and you're like, I'll release the receipts, I'll tell the things if you don't do, stop it. If you got something, tell it. But again, you're clickbaiting, you're rage baiting, you're tragedy baiting. Let's call that what it is, tragedy baiting in this. Candace Owens, let's tell the truth on that, David. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be upfront and as real as I possibly can. What's going through my mind, because and I think a lot of people are gonna kind of feel what I'm about to say, because I have always been a pro-Israel, and because my Bible says to be pro-Israel. That doesn't mean that we allow Israel to just run free, that they're perfect, that we shouldn't hold them accountable as the government. And Bibi Netanyahu, we shouldn't hold them accountable or sympathize with loss of life over in the Gaza Strip. But, you have to also understand how Hamas fights and how they hide behind these people most of the time. And, there's so many arguments here, and none of us are experts on what's going on over in Gaza. None of us are actually there on the ground. And I don't mean people that just get dropped in there for a day or two to do propaganda for either side and then jump back out. I'm talking, I have heard from people, a guy visited my church that literally lives in Israel. I've heard from people on the ground there on both sides. I've heard from people that have family in Gaza, Palestinians in Portland that have family in Gaza. I have heard from all sides of this. This is such a complex issue. And, there's so much confusion and there's so much deception, Chad. And that's why I love being a Christian. That's why I love being a Bible-believing Christian, because when I get in those thoughts of confusion and worry and fear, I just go fall back on my Bible, and then the Holy Spirit reveals things to me. Sometimes it's just, hey, just withdraw and be silent and focus on me. Stop focusing on what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's peaceful within itself. And I want to encourage your listeners to do that, because, I'm scrolling through Instagram last night, Chad, and it was reel after reel after reel of anti-Israel, pro-Candace Owens stuff, things Charlie Kirk said before his assassination. And I'll be honest with you, some of that stuff, it concerns me, and it's scary to think about, and I'm not saying that there was that, I'm not aligning with Candace at all. I think she is so off base right now. And I think that she needs to check her heart. And I think a lot of the stuff that she's doing right now is self-serving. You know, when I look at things like what Charlie Kirk said before, is he was really criticizing Israel. He was really criticizing Bibi Netanyahu. He was criticizing the October 7th attack, kind of insinuated, or he did say that it was weird and maybe there was a stand down order. That was just going through my feed. I had to shut my phone off last night, chat, because I started feeling concern and fear that man. But at the same time, it's like when you get in that, and I know you're trying to wrap the show, but I think this is really important for
I want to hear
listeners, because I think so many people are in confusion right now. People want to start blaming Israel. We don't know. So it's even more reason to dig into your Bible, dig into prayer, and really just like, okay, Charlie Kirk was talking about Israel before his assassination. I logged that back here, but I'm not going to run with that and go down the rabbit hole and just be more confused and more deceived with people that are interest people like Candace Owens. I'm not going to allow that to be my forefront. I will log it down back here, but your forefront of your mind should be in Scripture and in prayer and in tune with the Holy Spirit, because that is the only way that you're going to really know what's going on, or at least know how to react to what's going on. I think Israel has a right to their land. They have a right to defend themselves. I believe that God says they're His chosen people. Now we can talk about that at a later date on why I believe that, and there's never been a people group more persecuted in the history than the Jews. And that doesn't mean they're perfect, Chad. And so there's just so much going on. But I know Candace Owens, gosh, man, I miss the old Candace. She was worshiping Earth 7 years ago. And then she went through this kind of transition. She became close with Charlie Kirk, and then she converted to Catholicism, which I have no issue with. Half of my family is Catholic. But we have to be really careful where we let our minds wander. And we as Christians need to be in prayer now more than ever. And I pray that the young men of America don't go down this rabbit hole of, blaming one side for everything. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and you and I have had this conversation a number of times about in regards to Israel and our positions theologically on Israel, eschatologically on Israel, and I'm pretty clear on my position on all of that in terms of I've done multiple episodes on that. And so at the end of the day, I was with a friend of mine last night at that event who is Jewish, who has family there in Israel, lost family and friends on October 7th, and dealt with that firsthand. They still reel from that tragedy. I mean, it's still very fresh, and so many other things that are out there. And so for Candace to jump on this, I mean, just a couple of months ago, Candace was being sued by the president of France for calling his wife a dude. So where did that story go? Candace is always jumping on the freshest thing, and that's the thing that's bothering me about this whole deal. Regardless of what your opinions on Israel may be, and I'm talking to the audience, regardless of what your opinions on Israel and how, everybody just, I think collectively in the midst of tragedy, whether it's 9/11 or something else, everybody needs some big conspiratorial boogeyman out there. And right now, Netanyahu or Israel or whoever, they're the ones that are going to catch all the stuff, especially from a lot of the, right-wing voices that are out there. And I'm telling people, and I agree with you, David, regardless of what you think theologically about Israel, what we do is we get in that prefrontal cortex and we get to a place of critical thinking and we say, okay, what is my worldview? What do I believe? Because at the end of the day, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer that believes God's in control, and his matters of redemption have been made very clear. And I got to make sure first and foremost that my heart's right before I start worrying about what's happening in geopolitics and the spiritual escalation of those things. So again, we mourn our friend. I'm not going to jump on a bandwagon of conspiracy theories of saying I've got some receipts that I'm going to reveal on all of these things. If you got them, then let's see them. I think everybody's sick to death of the secret files out there.
People have to remember, and I'll just say this last thing so you can wrap up the show, but people have to remember that God is in control of all of this. I know that's a cliche. You hear it all the time, but really think about what I'm saying here. God is in control. If it was his will that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and look how many people it has brought to his kingdom. I guarantee you Charlie Kirk is in heaven right now on the earth, seeing what's happening in America today. We had students that walked out of Thurston High School in Springfield, Oregon yesterday. Students that walked out because they were disgusted at what their teacher said about Charlie Kirk. Young men and young kids are rising up around America. Charlie Kirk's death was not in vain, and it is doing something spiritually. And we have to be really careful that we don't get in the way of the Spirit, that we don't get in the way of God, that we don't jump on these Israel and Palestine and Gaza and all these things that are going to do, because none of that stuff is going to matter when when this world ends or our time on this earth ends. None of that is, none of these micro issues are going to matter. It's going to matter is who's standing next to you in the kingdom of God. And we have to get our priorities straight as Christians, that God is doing something. The more that we get hung up on, all of these micro issues, yes, it's important to talk about, yes, but don't forget what the number one goal is here, and that is to win souls to Jesus. Satan thinks he won with the Charlie Kirk assassination, but he overplayed his hand, and God is doing something big that I have never seen in my life. I don't know about you, Chad, but thanks for having me on today, brother. I appreciate you.
I love you, pal. I love you, man. And you and I, we have a good time together. We love to butt heads, and I'm going to see you this weekend. So out there at the memorial, y'all follow David at David Medina PDX. He's out there on the front lines, and he is one of the guys who brings the receipts and has fun doing it. So one of the most compassionate people I know, and I just love the fact that he can get out there in the street and do what he does with a heart of love. Real quick, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Give them a call, 972-PATRIOT. They're 100% U.S.-based customer service team will help you. Or you go to patriotmobile.com/Chad. But tell them I sent you. If you use promo code Chad, they'll give you a month for free if you're active duty military. They'll give you a free activation as well. But they are America's only wireless provider that believes like you do. They believe in your Bill of Rights. They believe in your right to free speech. They believe in your Second Amendment rights. They are your kind of folks, and they got the same kind of faith as you as well. They're good people. So if you got a cell phone, transfer it over. And I know you got a cell phone. Transfer it over to Patriot Mobile. They will help you do that. They got a package that fits your family's budget, and they will take care of you. Whatever your needs are, just let Patriot Mobile help you, and you can trust that a portion of your bill, unlike the big three that are out there, it doesn't go to the leftist causes. And you don't have to worry about the coverage because they're using the same cell towers. PatriotMobile.com/Chad. All right, before I let you guys go, let's get to what I like to call my final word. Come on, let's do this. You guys are awesome. Let me get back over here to the chat. I love seeing you guys discuss this. 3,600 people watching the program across all the platforms. It's exciting to see that. Make sure you're subscribed at YouTube as well as Rumble. And leave a comment down below. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. All right. Listen, if you want to pick a side, if you want to pick a color, pick a team, that's fine. But I want you to know something. Right up front, you need to know this. Your political leanings, they're not a hobby. They are a tool. They're a weapon. Regardless of how serious you think that is or not, you are going to pick a side in this day and age. I don't think anybody's going to be politically neutral because no matter what you say, they will put you on a side if you don't choose. That choice is going to make you or break you. If you choose to ride that wave politically, then you better be prepared for the consequences. And here's the hard truth. Now, I'm looking at you, Jimmy Kimmel, when I say this. Politics is about stories, and stories win hearts and wallets. Okay, if your beliefs are simple, consistent, and loud, people will follow. They will listen to you. They will invite you onto podcasts. They will invite you onto the news. They will click your posts. They will lean in when you speak. That is the making part. Alignment will give you coherence. It gives you an audience. It gives you influence, and suddenly you have a map. You got a crowd. You got a purpose. You can move people. You can help people with ideas. And sometimes moving people is going to build momentum, and momentum is going to buy opportunities. But momentum is a double-edged sword. All right, you can ride that. You could say, you know what? I'm going to pick this political spectrum. I'm going to run with this culturally. I'm going to take this message and I'm going to put it on my platforms. But let me tell you, momentum. The more people listen to you, because I have people who are influencers, creators, people that have a platform. I got people all the time who reach out to me and they say, I'm trying to grow even more. And I go, you got momentum, but momentum is a double-edged sword because the very thing that makes you magnetic will also make you brittle if you're not careful. So when you lean hard one way, you lose the other half of the room. We already know that. That's being done for us these days. Nuance gets squeezed out like juice from a lemon. Mistakes are going to be amplified. Slip of the lip gets you hung by a tongue. Your old jokes, your offhand comments, your tweets, your half-remembered ideas out there, they're going to get dug up and displayed like trophies, and your public life is going to become a series of yeses and nos, and every yes is a binding decision that's going to narrow your future freedom. Now, this is the world we're living in, folks. This is the world that we're living in. You pick a side, there's going to be a cost. But here's another cost, and this is a quieter cost, okay? When you build your identity around a political posture, and I think everybody in this audience for the most part has chosen a side, you're going to begin to measure your worth based on the applause. What I mean by that is you're going to try to grab every theory you can, every idea you can. You want to be on the forefront of the breaking news. You want to punch through the smoke. And you are going to start chasing the signal and not the truth. Now, these are lessons I've learned the hard way. There's a way that you start pursuing the thing that's going to get more attention by saying it a certain way, grabbing people with a certain hook, rather than finding the truth. And you're going to gaslight yourself into confusing popularity with righteousness. And I don't care, listen, I don't care if you got 1 million people following you on social media or you're just talking to the people around the family table at Thanksgiving. You're going to try to be the one with the relevant answer. And now what you're going to do is you're going to end up defending all your talking points. They're not going to be convenient. And you know what? You're going to keep pushing through simply because you want to be right. That's the hard part. So I told you the making part where you get momentum, but now you're at the breaking part. Because once your integrity is a byproduct of your brand, you're in trouble. What am I saying? What I'm trying to tell you is I want you to be careful how you choose sides. I mean, if a story comes out about Jimmy Kimmel or Antifa or a shooter in Utah, I want you to be careful. This is part of that critical thinking thing I'm always talking about. Be careful how you choose the side, because the consequences of those choices are going to show up in some very concrete ways. Your friends, after you make those choices, your friends are going to ditch you. They won't always do it publicly. Sometimes they're going to do it, slowly, and you're just going to notice you don't get those text messages anymore. Suddenly you notice they're not following you on social media anymore. You're going to have opportunities that are going to close because brands and venues and partners are going to make cold calculations about risk, and your career, Jimmy Kimmel, becomes a ledger of trade-offs. So influence in one circle versus access in another. For some people, the trade-off's worth it. For others, it's a slow strangulation. So I want you guys to choose with your eyes open today. I want you to pick your side. I want you to read the news, the headlines, listen to your podcast. But if you decide that you're going to be 100% partisan down the line, and unfortunately that's the world it seems that we've created and we're living in, and we're going to play it to the base, well then by God, do it intentionally, okay? Own the wins, accept the cost, because this is the world we're heading into in the days ahead. Make your message true to something larger than trends. Commit to clarity over convenience. And when you do that, even your critics will know where you stand, and there's dignity in that. Now, the guy that I got into an argument with last night on social media, he said, "You've been to the White House. We know." Basically, he said something kind of crude about, we know where your loyalty lies. Yeah, I have made that choice. But I also have managed to keep a private compass in my heart, because my public positions are tactical, but my moral compass, the values that I have, people have called me a grifter, they've called me a sellout, all those things. I live with my head up and my conscience is absolutely clear. Let me tell you, those are the things, my decisions have kept me steady. You can argue about me, you can call me an asshole, you can call me a POS, whatever you want to do. But let me tell you, my convictions are what's going to save me when the crowd turns on me, and they have many times. I can say I was wrong about something without losing my identity, without losing myself. Because admitting an error, and that's something unheard of in this day and age, admitting an error is not weakness, folks. It's actually a strength of survival. Guys, I'm going to tell you one other thing before I let you go. Build some relationships outside of your echo chamber. I love David Medina. I love Party Foul Steve. You know why? We agree on so many things. We disagree on a lot of things. We butt heads on a lot of things. I told David Medina when he became my producer, I want you to be as blunt with me as you possibly can be on things because I don't want you in my echo chamber. Talk to people you disagree with, not as enemies, but as neighbors. We're losing that in this country. You're not going to convert people. You don't talk with them for the purpose of converting them or winning the argument because you're not going to convert everybody, and that's fine. But you will be less surprised when the world responds the way the world responds instead of the way your feed tells you it should. It's a big world out there, and there's some smart folks in it. But accept those personal consequences before you ask for the public spotlight on your ideas. Because a lot of us, we crave that need to be right. We crave the attention. We understand that attention is a tax. You got to pay it willingly, not resentfully. If the cost is losing old friendships, figure out whether that new platform, that new opinion, that new idea that you've got is worth the price of what you're going to lose. Because some things are irretrievable and some things are not redeemable. So finally, folks, choose courage over comfort. That's what Charlie, I think, would want you to do today. That's what Jesus would want you to do, more importantly. Choose courage over comfort. If your politics and your opinions are performative, then they're going to fail you when the real stakes arrive. If your politics are rooted in conviction and tempered by humility, they'll hold up. Conviction without humility is brittle. Humility without conviction is directionless. So I want you to find the balance. So ride that wave, folks. We're in a political battle, but don't pretend that this ocean ain't going to chew up a lot of people. So I want you out there skillfully and with purpose, with a map in your pocket and a compass in your heart, doing the right thing. Because let me tell you something, the loudest voice in the room is rarely the wisest. So be prepared for the applause, but be prepared for the backlash, folks, and be most prepared to stand for what you've said when those lights go out. Because one day, for all of us, the lights do go out, folks. Leave a legacy in that. You're probably going to have to go back and watch what I said again because it was a lot. I just laid a lot on you. All right, remember our sponsors today. Make sure you're sharing this episode. Jump down and subscribe. Hit that like button. Leave us a comment. And please, don't forget to grab my book, Born for Meaning. Go to bornformeaning.com, get a signed copy, or you can go to Born for Meaning on Amazon. Just search it out and go get that book, okay? You're going to love it. I guarantee it. Leave us a rating, 5-star rating on Apple and on Spotify. Hey, go over and subscribe to Before the Noise on your podcast platform. So it's now on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on iHeart, it's on all the platforms. Before the Noise, doing that every morning, 8, 7 Central, Monday through Friday. Make sure you join us. We're working through, I think we finished the book of John, chapter 8, tomorrow morning. So join us for those little, I'm getting long-winded on them, man. 10 minutes turned into 16 minutes this long, so forgive me. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Go to watchchad.com for all the fun stuff is. I got to get on the road with Party Foul Steve. He's chomping at the bits because he's ready to go eat lunch. I love you guys. God bless you. Thanks for participating in the chat. Remember, I love you. Jesus loves you. I'm praying for you. You pray for me. And I will talk to you in the morning on Before the Noise. Until then, God bless you. We'll talk to you then. Bye.